You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The Ecosystem Approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show. Today, we're going to talk about being level-headed. It seems like it is a trait that is put on a pedestal that is to be respected and admired. However, there is a downside, and often level-headed people struggle to enjoy life, are burdened with the excess responsibility, and are disconnected from many of their true talents, abilities, and the parts of their life that are interesting, passionate, and alive. Whether you are level-headed or not, you must see this show. Stay tuned and find out more. We are married intuitives with over 25 years experience who created the Ecosystem Approach. This is a groundbreaking way to see yourself in this age of Aquarius. We help you unleash healing and potential that is unknown today and is totally unique to you personally. This is not your typical type of energy work. We help you with life-changing internal discovery that is powerful, rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Jason, I know you have a story about the downside of being level-headed.
You know, it's kind of embarrassing, and it's very personal to us, but we were working really hard, and we were living together at the time, and Tricia would say to me, and it was usually kind of sideways, but
snarky.
Yeah, okay. Snarky probably would. Are we ever going to get married? And it didn't register like it should, but I would say, well, when we have more time, because we were in a position where we had a lot of success. We had people coming out of the woodwork, wanting to have sessions with us. Mm-hmm. We were busy all the time.
Correct.
Sometimes just exhaustingly busy. Mm-hmm. And you know, I didn't want to interrupt that flow to do something like getting married.
Well, because you knew how much time it took.
Well, it wasn't about that as much as it was to me.
Okay, Mr. Level-headed.
This is so male. But for me, it was well, you know, of course we're going to get married. Let's just make it easy when it kind of
happens
in a natural opening.
Okay.
And we went to Monterey,
yes,
which we're on the West Coast in California. If you've ever heard of Monterey, it's a beautiful place.
Totally.
Didn't they have? Wasn't there a couple movies that they shot there? It's right on the water. It literally is very, very picturesque. We went there, it was about an hour away from where we lived, an hour and a half, something like that, mm-hmm. and stayed in a hotel and we were on the beach, and it was just sunset. And
we had gone to the wharf that day.
Yes.
And it was first up, the weather was perfect.
Was perfect.
It was absolutely perfect. And then Jason said, let's take a ride. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know, I was oblivious, by the way, to what was about to happen.
Well, we had the Chariot then.
We did. We had, yes.
It was. Yes. I have a Volkswagen convertible.
It's a classic.
It's a classic. Yes,
by all means.
And so we were driving along the coast there, and we pulled over, and
yes.
and we were walking on the beach, and it was very nice, and I had already gotten a little a soda can and a blinking heart light. this stuff that you could get at the
99-cent store.
Well, at the wharf, they have all this. It's a tourist trap.
Yeah, it really is.
So I got that, and I made a jelly bean ring.
Right. You took a paper clip and bought some jelly beans and put a jelly bean on top of it. It was really cute, actually, everyone.
And then we were sitting there on the ocean there and on the water, and I got down on one knee and proposed. And of course, she started to cry because one of us is more emotional than the other. And these people over, they were about 50 feet away.
Yes.
They were watching. And she started to cry and they yelled, so what's the answer?
And so I finally said yes. Let me just say it that way.
I guess the whole point, I need to bring it back to the point,
There
is
you go.
that I was being level-headed,
Yes, you were.
and I never realized how that connection, that demonstration of a connection that we have together, that's public,
Very much.
to say we're engaged or she's my wife, was very, very, very important to her because of her emotional story.
Correct.
And
And let me just back it up and say, for the most part, I never believed I belonged anywhere.
yes, so
that was behind the whole thing, but that was emotional.
that was emotional,
Yes.
but still it was important.
Yes, it was.
And so that's the part that just escaped me until it didn't. And but it was a really nice weekend, and we went back home and started working again. And by the way, it was very practical of us. We are kind of practical together.
Definitely.
I knew better than to just surprise her with a ring, because she's very fussy about her jewelry.
I am.
And
I admit.
and so for me to just go out there and buy a ring,
Yes.
pick something else.
Yes.
So we did it together, and
Which was fun.
Yeah,
We actually had
yeah.
a really good time doing it.
Yes.
Yes. So, but let's talk about the other side of the being level-headed. Yes, level-headed is sensible and
Well, the definition is sensible, rational, possessing sound judgment.
okay.
And the downside of being level-headed is a form of dullness and boring,
And by the way, you're not any of that.
and even stupid, But the objective rational can be uninteresting and uninspiring.
That's true.
And
That's true.
I was here going along and saying, okay, what's the most practical thing to do? And by the way, that was part of my emotional story. My dad was not
Not emotional at all.
not emotional. He was not sentimental,
Nothing.
None of that. It was just,
Interesting, actually.
kind of actually it was very dull, and it
Yeah.
was very cold. And I grew up in an environment where, you didn't do emotional excess, or you didn't
Right.
do anything for someone's birthday, that sort of thing. It was just that's just the way it was.
Yes.
But here's the thing, okay? The best ideas always come from an energy that lacks sensibility and good judgment. The most creative ideas in the world,
That's true.
are not sensible. They're not sound.
No.
And one of the things that we did when we were working, we both worked at an art school, and that's where we met. And we would go. This is very, very sensible, but it's also kind of romantic.
Very much.
There was this. It was Metron. It was a movie complex.
Yes.
And I don't know who brought it. You would
I
to
did.
bet. Yeah,
I did.
Take an avocado and some cheese, some of the packaged cheese you have, and then a box of crackers or some crackers.
Exactly.
And she'd put them in her purse. We'd go into the Metron, sit someplace.
Yes.
And the
Or
Metron,
sometimes we would sit outside too.
yeah,
Yes.
which
Depending on
is
the
usually
weather.
outside of the Metron. But
Yeah, that's true.
but they had all this what kind of food? Movie food that was not healthy,
Yeah.
very, very expensive, And so we had those little picnics all the times, and it was very it really connected us. Yes.
It really did. It was very romantic in so many ways, and yet it was also very practical.
We still do that all the time. We'll pull
Yes,
over
we
the
do.
side of the road with mom or with the dogs and just have like a little picnic.
snack.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So, but some of the things that we've done with the ecosystem approach, like channeling the planets and using that information
Yeah.
to download, using planetary information. I've had so many people come to me about using planetary energy, energies have been so effective
For them.
for them in their
Yes.
life.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that came from creativity and inspiration.
Correct.
It was not sensible
Yeah.
because I haven't heard anybody else doing that.
No.
Channeling the planets, understanding their personality,
Right.
and then using that energy of that personality to download it for your own life to help you.
Exactly.
So
It's actually pretty good. So, Jason, what is the summary of this segment?
being too level-headed caused hurt and some pain in my relationship with my sweetheart Patricia here. Even though I was being practical, my level-headedness kept me from seeing the emotional importance to Patricia of being engaged and married. It's We've always had a type of practicality between us that could include an emotional aspect, but being level-headed is associated with being sensible, rational, and having good judgment. The downside to level-headedness is dull and boring.
Right.
It makes people uninteresting, uninspiring. Creative ideas and the ability to see possibilities is rarely practical or sensible. The big ideas and the possibilities and relationships and for the betterment of mankind does not come from level-headed people.
Right. But not to say, I first off, I'm so grateful that I live with someone that's level-headed because when I get emotional, he helps me put my feet on the ground, or I will clear to get my feet on the ground. I came from a family that was total emotion, and it didn't matter what time, day or night, there was emotion going on in the house in which I was raised. And so it didn't make sense to Jason, but as he started to get to know my story and I started to understand my story more, what started to happen was there became a logic in the understanding of why reactions or actions were what they were in any given moment regarding me and him. I just want to say that. So, Jason, in the next segment, we're going to explore the part of this topic that is the most difficult and problematic, which is often missed. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to explore the part of this topic that is most difficult and problematic, which is often missed. Jason, what is the part of this topic that is the most problematic?
Most people are stuck in approaching life in one way or another.
Okay.
In other words, being level-headed, sensible, practical, or completely emotional and without sufficient practicality.
Okay.
Now, this is not about labeling people.
Okay.
It's not about a judgment about people. This is a kind of an observation that we've made is that, people tend to be one or the other. And here's the reason for that. And this is this is the point. It's kind of the point to the whole show.
Okay.
We did something about it was a couple weeks ago about magical thinking and how the benefit of that.
Yes.
And this is sort of on the same vein. We're saying level-headed, blah blah blah. You don't want your accountant to be emotional to say, oh, that deduction, yeah, you deserve that deduction, even though the IRS will never accept it.
Yes.
You want the person who's designing the bridge that you're driving over
to be very level-headed.
Yes, and to understand that this is what you have to do and what you don't.
But when it comes to something like a dressmaker or drawing a piece of art or something to that effect, a little bit of emotion
exactly
is not such a bad idea.
But here's the thing,
okay,
and this is part of the ecosystem approach.
Okay,
we're not trying to program you to be a certain way or not a certain way.
Well said.
What we're trying to do is help you be authentic to who you are.
Yeah.
And for some people, depending on your astrology, your natal chart, you tend to be more practical, and some people tend to be less practical and more emotional.
Correct.
That's okay. That's the way it should be. But here's the problem. Here's the problem that most people don't miss because that they miss because it's been normalized.
Which is,
compulsive behavior.
oh,
There's a personality typing system called the Enneagram. We've talked about this many times on the
yes,
show,
yes,
that describes personality traits based on behavioral or emotional compulsions.
correct.
And that um, these compulsions, um, we express these compulsions without choice. In fact, a lot of us don't have any choice but to do them a certain way. For example, okay,
Okay,
when we worked with couples, we've been doing this for 25 years. We worked with couples,
correct.
and typically when there's a problem with couples, one has these set of emotional compulsions,
That's
and the
correct.
other person has these sets of emotional compulsions.
And they don't blend well.
They don't blend well, and
Yeah.
they're saying, well, okay, if only the other person was more like me, and that's not the solution to emotional problems.
No,
If you using the ecosystem approach, compulsions, we see that compulsions come from negative energy attached to your essence.
correct.
So as you start to use the ecosystem approach to remove those negative energies,
Yes,
all of a sudden you have what's a form of consciousness and choice,
right.
even free will, because compulsions, emotional compulsions, strip you away from free will.
Yes. In
So
other words, if you have to do something only a certain way, you don't have free will in it. I
yes,
just want to make sure that people understand that. Go ahead.
well, and I'm sure there's people out there that are thinking, well, huh, I can control how I feel. I can control my emotions. And chances are, if you're saying that to yourself right now or trying to say it to us,
Mhm.
I see that there's a compulsion to be more level-headed. That
Because those are usually the rules they were raised in.
yes, and the truth is that there are times that you shouldn't be level-headed. You should connect with the people that are close to you in ways that are it's like a dance. It's the energies. We see this as being intuitives. We see life force and the natural world
Yes.
is full of these subtle energies, is driven by these subtle energies. And what makes going to a national park an amazing experience is the energy that's connected with that ecosystem.
Yeah. Yes.
And when your ecosystem is full of compulsions, negative energies,
Correct.
um, you can't have that vibrant. You can't have that va va boom. You
Right.
can't have that here I am world. See who I am. What happens is it gets squelched and
Correct.
put down. So the Enneagram is a personality typing system that describes these emotional compulsions.
Correct.
So they have 9 different personality types.
Yes. One not being better than
One
any of
not
the
be,
other.
yes, exactly. So, 9's not better than the one and
That's
that sort of
correct.
thing. So, but um, each one of these types have a set of emotional compulsions. For example,
Okay.
8s have to be aggressive. 2s have to be nice.
Yes.
4s have to be emotional. 6s have to respond with fear. It can be a little more complicated than that, but for the most part, these people are locked into those kind of reactions.
That is correct.
Um, they don't have a range of behaviors that they can choose in the moment. And what we do with the ecosystem approach is as you start to remove those negative energies.
And you all of a sudden, excuse me, being where are we? The
4.
four in the group. Um, it was almost as if my mouth dropped open when I started removing negative energy. And then I realized in a situation that might have been similar to something in my past, that I actually had a choice of how to react or think or even be in a situation. It was so surprising to me. It was like, oh, really?
And these things happen energetically. They don't
Yes,
happen
yes,
by reading a book and saying, I'm going to decide to act this way instead. I'm going to decide to be more level-headed or less level-headed.
yes, yes.
It's an energy process.
Correct.
And
Hmm.
compulsive behaviors are a covert way of taking away free will.
Yes.
And they confine us.
Yes, they do.
And we can see that there's a form of enslavement on Earth that comes from compulsive behaviors.
Yes.
So, um, emotions, feelings, and intangible ideas like possibilities and visions are energies and do not follow the rules of sensibility and practicality.
Correct.
There's always, and I hate this word, I don't know why it is, but there's always a whimsy or an arbitrariness or a capriciousness to these energies.
Correct.
Life force doesn't say it has to be this way.
No.
Life force says, hey, let's take the natural world and infuse it with this energy of possibility, you know.
Well, and I just like the audience to stop and think for a moment. Possibility, possibility. How many possibilities for what I want out there in life are there?
Yes.
And when you start removing negative energies, you would not believe the amount of possibilities, the choices that you actually have.
Patricia,
It's awesome.
Patricia's a gardener, but if you were to take 5 seeds of the same plant,
That's correct.
plant them right next to each other so they all get the same amount of sun, nutrients,
And
water,
That's correct.
they would all grow up just slightly different.
Yes, they would.
They'd all say, "I'm going to be creative."
Yes.
And birth forth with life.
Yes.
In a way that is unique to me.
Yes, meaning the plant.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's life. That's how life works. Now, I always read the magazines when we go through the checkout. When we go shopping in the grocery store, I'm just the Indian. I just push the cart, look pretty, and pay the bill. Yes. She's out there, but talking to people and doing things. I'm just,
Yeah.
But so when we're going through the checkout line and I'm reading the magazines, I came across this Time Life Science of Marriage. And it's kind of an oxymoron, science and marriage. When what they did is they did a study about happy married couples, and they observed them and said, well, these are the traits. So if you imitate these traits,
then you'll be happy.
No, it's so stupid. I mean, this is where science goes off. This is where science, it's a perception that if you study something and you can classify it and compartmentalize it and put it into a structure, then you can understand it. And it's not true, because marriage is a dance of energies, of connection, of vibrancy, of relationships. Good relationships are vibrant and dynamic, and they move and they go from one way to another.
And they're adaptable.
They're adaptable
in any given moment.
And they're full of creativity.
Correct.
If you just imitate what they said in that book about marriage and said, I'm going to have a happy marriage, chances are using that process makes you dull in the first place. You're never going to be very interesting to your partner.
Right.
And it's never going to work. A great example of that was my daughter broke up with a boyfriend one time, and he took a level-headed approach to try and get her back. It didn't work. He used flowers and I love yous and all those things because he read it in a book.
Because he thought that was the emotional part.
Those are the rules.
Those are the rules.
He was following the rules. And,
that's right.
But he completely missed why she broke up with him. And of course it didn't work. So
yes, good. There you go. All right, Jason, what is the summary of this segment?
People act in a way that is compulsive.
Yes.
So if you're level-headed, you're that way most of the time, and it's rare that you can choose another way. The Enneagram is a personality typing system that describes the personality of people with a particular set of emotional compulsions. Most of the problems we see with relationships are because one or both people in a relationship cannot step outside of their compulsive behaviors.
Correct.
If you take this idea to the extreme, it's the reason why countries and governments get stuck in conflict. The personality of science, by definition, is level-headed. In pure form, science will always consider all the possibilities, but because it's implemented by human beings with behavioral compulsions, the day-to-day implementation of science is very level-headed. And then when science studies intangibles and emotions, it struggles to maintain the whimsy and the arbitrariness that gives these energies life. The power is almost filtered out. We all need to embrace the uncertainty and the unpredictability of these energies, which are at the most powerful, which are the most powerful in the world.
In the next segment, we're going to talk about how to be, quote, just enough level headed, unquote, in the way that works for your life. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about how to be, quote, just enough, unquote, just enough level-headed in a way that works for your life. I like that one. All right, Jason, what do you mean by, quote, just enough level-headed?
Most people struggle to have a range of behaviors that can move and adapt to specific situations.
Okay.
It has to do with the compulsive nature of behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
There are times when you take a 7 or an 8 and you ask them to be soft, to be gentle.
Ooh, yeah, not always.
To be empathetic with their partner.
Yes.
They can't do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes the other is the reverse is true. When you ask someone like a 2 or a 3 or a 4 to be to set boundaries,
strong and stern would be the way I would say it.
To get tough.
Yes.
They can't do it.
Well, you know what? I don't know why, but this story popped in, and it's a fast one. But my father was an 8 to the max, and I'm talking about in so many different ways. He was and all definitely 8 personality. But I had gotten hit in the head with a rock, and I walked through the door. Well, basically, my brother carried me through the door, and there's blood just running down my face. And my father was painting the living room, and he turned around, and with the one eye I could see out of at the moment, his mouth dropped open, and he went over and he grabbed a hold of me, and he put me in his arms, and he slid down the wall and cried with me. That was not my father. That was not of what I knew my father's nature to be.
He was kind of a bully. He would be
very
blunt.
much so. Oh,
he would be
yes.
Critical.
And always say the
condescending.
Wrong thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. But the point that I'm getting at is that the emotion of seeing one of his children hurt to that extent, and of course I know it was the blood that did it more than anything. But it hit my father right where his heart was the most open.
And the problem is that he couldn't maintain that kind of emotion.
Not at all.
Because he had these emotional compulsions that were related to being an 8.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to say, okay?
Yes.
That
understand your personality. That's first thing.
Well, that's the first thing. But in the world today, after 25 years experience working with all these people, we see that most people don't have the ability to force themselves to step away from their compulsive behaviors.
That is correct.
And that's why it's an energetic process. It's not a I'm going to decide to do this. I'm going to stop being this way.
How about people going, I'm going on a diet today. I'm doing it, and I'm going to, and within 3 days they're more than done and eating more than they did before. The point that we're getting at is that when you use the ecosystem approach and start removing negative energies, when you don't have to go through those negative energies to be who you authentically are, it makes it so much easier. That's why the ecosystem approach works.
Taking care of my mom with dementia, her consciousness fades, and all she's left with is compulsive behaviors.
Yes.
And those are if you've heard us, we're saying that compulsive behaviors come from negative energy attached to you.
Yes.
That's really sad.
Yes.
That when there's only a piece left, the piece that's left is the bad part.
And it's so sad because, and I just have to say, his mother is she's a 2, and she's warm, loving, and caring. And when she's on, I would even call her dynamic. That's her energy is is wonderful. But when her energy is not on, meaning when the compulsions are taking over and the dementia is roaring, she's not even there.
Well, and here's the thing. We're taught today that we can choose our behaviors,
Yeah,
that we use willpower and self-control. And but these things are not sustainable.
that's
They're
what I
not
said.
natural
Dieting, yes,
to human beings. When you're the ecosystem approach helps you be authentic to who you are.
yes.
When you're authentic to who you are, it's sustainable.
Because you have choices, and you not only have choices, but you have logic and emotion, and you can see both of them, maybe three or four different ways, and you get to choose.
Well, and the reason you have those choices,
Wonderful.
the reason you have those choices is because you remove the negative energy.
Mhm.
So your behaviors aren't compulsive. They come from who you are authentically.
Yes, yes,
And who
yes.
you are authentically can be seen in your natal chart in astrology,
Mhm.
but they're not the compulsions of your enneagram type.
Correct.
Now we see a lot of people. We use both tools with the ecosystem approach. We use the enneagram
That's right.
because that helps people understand what they need to clear,
Yes.
and then the natal chart. And if they don't match up, and frankly, we're just after 25 years of doing this, we're seeing this in ourselves.
Yeah.
Our enneagram type does not match up with
With
our astrology.
at all.
And our
Well,
astrology is a symbol, it's a representation, it's a basic,
yes,
just a bare bones representation of who we
Mhm.
are authentically.
Exactly.
And it's so interesting when you strip away those compulsions.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. You know, people who've known me for many, many years know I'm a completely different person today than I was before.
That's correct.
And in a way that is natural to me,
Yes.
is authentic to me.
Yes.
You can't just decide to change your attitude to remove behavioral compulsions.
Wouldn't that be great if you could? But no.
We come into this world with a lot of negative energy attached to us already.
Mhm.
And these toxic negative energies are the basis for our behavioral compulsions.
Correct.
And you can change your behavior for a short time, but it's not sustainable. And you can use willpower, and that might work for a short period of time. But as a person is stressed or backed into a corner, those old compulsions come forward.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so we seek that with the ecosystem approach to help people remove their behavioral compulsions by clearing negative energies of their enneagram type.
Correct.
When this starts to happen, it's amazing.
Yes.
The free will starts to develop, and these anxieties and struggles and traumas that you've had kind of melt away, and the authentic person comes forward. You know, I like the true Libra of my wife much more than the Enneagram 4 type of my wife.
Correct.
And there were some
So do
similarities.
I, but yes.
There's some similarities, but it's an amazing transformation. What we see today, people don't change this way.
No.
They cope with their life. They cope with their negative
They
energy.
act as if.
Yes, or they work around it.
Yes.
They have these compulsions, and they say, well, that's not very good, but I'm just going to work around it.
Correct.
That's not change. And that's why, over the last couple hundred years, we're not growing, we're not evolving as a world.
No, I'm
So
sorry to say, truly sorry to say. So Jason, what is the summary of this segment?
the majority of people struggle to have a range of behaviors because they always settle back into their familiar compulsions.
Yes.
These compulsions are represented by a person's enneagram type. The ecosystem approach is designed to help people overcome their compulsive behaviors and the confines of their enneagram type, because it's like a box, it's like a cage.
Correct. Oh, good one.
As this happens, the authentic person emerges in a way that is soul satisfying. Most of the issues that human beings have is a result of toxic, negative energy attached at the level of their essence or soul. Willpower, self-control cannot overcome behavioral compulsions. They are energies that must be removed using energy techniques. Human beings are, in reality, ecosystems, and the negative energies attached to them are toxic energies and suppress that ecosystem. The ecosystem approach is designed to restore a person's ecosystem in a natural way, so humans can evolve as was intended. as the way they were designed.
Yes.
This natural ecosystem will allow true free will.
Yes, definitely. So, Jason, let's explain to people how we do the clearing,
The
meaning
emotional clearing, yes.
yes, meaning removing negative energy.
So you have this negative energy attached to you to remove these compulsive, so that create these compulsions. These are
Yes.
behavioral compulsions.
Yes.
So what you do is, we're going to do this in the next segment. When we say to eliminate, in your mind's eye, in your imagination, gather up veils and illusions, barriers, or specific emotions, and then blow them into the processor.
Correct.
Moxie's putting a picture of the processor up now.
Okay.
It goes in the top, it gets processed, it comes out neutral,
Mhm.
and we just keep going.
And I just want to remind everyone, removing negative energy from yourself is also helping the guy next to you, or the house you live in, or even the people that you work with.
It's the ecology of the whole
That's
ecosystem.
exactly
Yes.
right. And it's so very, very, very important. And the important part is that you take that negative energy and put it into that processor. If you can't see that processor, that's okay. See yourself putting negative energy into a garbage can, because that's basically where it belongs. But the processor really does help remove it. And we will empty the garbage cans. We will also make sure that the processor is working correctly. And then one of the things we're going to do is we're going to activate life force. Life force is the most powerful energy that any of us has access to. And life force will not only make you feel better, but it also will help you heal from the toxic energies that you just removed. So, with all of that said, stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to help you understand the downside of being level-headed and start to remove your compulsive behavior so you can have true free will. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to help you understand the downside of being level-headed and start to remove your compulsive behaviors so you can have true free will. I mean, what an amazing statement.
Yes, and
I love that.
We're going to get you started with these clearings, but if you say this is how I want to live.
Yes.
I want to use the ecosystem approach. I want to live in a more natural way. I want to live in a way that's authentic to me. You know, go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org. Sign up for our free section. You'll be glad you did, and you'll get these clearings written out for you every week. So,
and by the way, going through the clearings once a day, once every couple of days, there is huge benefit to it. Give it a try, everyone. It really, really works.
We're usually in a good mood, and that's because if we're not, we clear it.
Exactly.
You know, it's negative energy. We know it's negative energy.
Exactly.
We just identify it and clear it and
move on.
Move on.
Exactly. All right. So let's get started.
Here we go. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that level-headed people can be dull, boring, intellectually stubborn. I'm sorry. I hope that's not you. Okay.
Yes. Nice and easy. Take a breath and start at the tips and take a breath, but start at the tips of your toes to remove veils and illusions that are keeping you stuck, being dull, boring, and intellectually stubborn. Take a breath. Throw that negative energy into the processor to your left. It just moves easier that way. All right. And I'm going to shorten it up just a little bit and to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that the best way for me to be authentic to myself is not trying to be true to a label like level-headed or emotional. What a concept. Nice and easy. Get rid of those veils and illusions, throw them away. You don't need them.
And to eliminate the stress, anxiety, and overwhelm in my life that could be the result of being practical or sensible in a way that is not authentic to me.
Take a breath. and to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that just labeling yourself as level-headed or emotional can be a trap and a restriction that is unnecessary. Take a breath. You don't need to be labeled anything but who you are, but you have to do it by removing negative energies like these veils and illusions. Take a breath. Throw them away.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that everyone behaves in a compulsive way.
Mhm.
And often they are trapped in those compulsive behaviors so that the idea of that behavior is a choice is really not true.
Take a breath. Get rid of it. Because the truth is, we were given choice before we even came into these bodies. It's one of the amazing things about being here on earth. Use that ability to choose, but how you do it in today's world is by removing negative energy first. Take a breath, everybody. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that the way to overcome compulsive behaviors is by using the ecosystem approach, which removes the negative energies that create compulsive behaviors. Take a breath and blow it out. And by the way, you know what? I want to make this comment. We're helping you guys with these clearings, but we're also doing them for ourselves at the same time.
Yes.
We believe in what we do.
And we walk the talk and we do it every single day.
We certainly do.
It makes a huge difference in our
Yes.
life, and it's cumulative.
It really
So the more
is.
you do it,
Yes.
it kind of you build up a form of inertia going forward that's
Yes.
really, really positive.
Exactly. Okay, Jason, go ahead. Sorry. 7.
Oh, okay. The veils and illusions, so I can see that a scientific approach is by nature level-headed and practical and may not be the best way to understand intangibles like relationships, happiness, or emotions that often are whimsical and not easily reduced to a formula or a process.
Nice and easy. Get rid of those veils and illusions. And to eliminate the barrier so I can see that my Enneagram type represents my personality based on compulsive behaviors that need to be cleared, and the ecosystem approach helps me to overcome that type or my type of Enneagram. Take a breath and blow it out.
And to eliminate the barrier so I can see that seeing myself as an ecosystem where toxic negative energies need to be removed is the best way to live.
Yeah.
Take a breath.
Take a breath.
That's why when there's an oil spill, you remove the oil, the ecosystem comes back.
Yes. And
it doesn't need to be motivated. It doesn't need to be
exactly.
It doesn't need to be forced. It doesn't
Right.
need to be convinced.
Well, and just think about all the little ducks that get stuck in the oil spill. Think about that's your toxic energy. It's up to you to get rid of it.
Yes.
All right. So, and to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that being level-headed can be good in some circumstances and bad in others. But when it's compulsive, it's always bad. It doesn't serve. Nice and easy. Get rid of that. These are compulsive behaviors. Throw it away. Jason, I'm ready to activate some life force.
Let's do that.
Here we go. Follow along, everyone. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to activate life force energy, the most powerful energy in the world, so I can be happy and healthy and have the ability to see, because I've removed negative energy, to see what my choices are, so I can be the best that I can be starting right now, today. Nice and easy. Pull in that life force energy, let it go all the way in through the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Stop it right there. Ask it to turn around. Ask it to come back up your body.
And to activate life force so I can have hope to be vibrant and have an alive ecosystem and live my life without internal restrictions or compulsions.
Pull it in. And throw away negative energy. And activate life force so I can trust that if I'm authentic to myself, I'm going to be okay. Nice and easy. Pull it in. Blow out negative energy.
And to activate life force so I can decide to focus on removing my emotional compulsions using the ecosystem approach so I can feel the amazing connection to my authentic self. And that feel is amazing.
It is.
It's the first time in my life that I've ever felt that, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I want that for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And that's one of the things Jason and I came here to do, is help deliver this message to you so you can be who you authentically are and who you came here to be. And last one, and activate life force so I can be happy and healthy and creative, have objectivity and creativity, have laughter and love and fun and joy, great health. And when I see something that isn't right for myself, I have the ability to see what it is and remove it, because I have the choice to do so. Pull in and then blow out any negative energy left over. Jason, what are we going to talk about next week?
So next week, we're going to kind of go back to basics.
Okay.
We're going to talk about what is the ecosystem approach,
Okay.
and why it's the best way to live.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you're kind of an old hat at this, you've been listening to us for a while, you say, well, I know the basics already, blah, blah, blah. I write these things, I outline these things in a way that on one hand, you can get the basics.
Yes.
But you could also get something else a perspective, the big picture in a way that you've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
So be sure and tune in. I think you'll find this will put together a lot of the questions and the pieces that don't seem to fit.
Well, and because of negative energy, we often assume that we know everything about everything, or we assume we know about this subject or another. And the bottom line is there is nothing wrong. In fact, I think it's very fun to go back and remind myself of the basics so that it helps me get a better picture, starting with myself, but especially if I'm working with someone else.
Well, it's funny because we always say this is not a quick fix.
It is not.
But the truth is that as you start doing this, and you develop some momentum, and you start doing some more and more and more, and you keep clearing, you develop a power behind you.
Yes.
That becomes more and more unstoppable.
Correct.
and beneficial to the world.
Yes.
So if all this stuff is sounding good to you,
yes,
if you're getting chills,
one piece of it,
or all of it, you're getting chills. Maybe you're getting this buzzing, this excitement that's building in your gut. This is we've worked this out. So this is what you do. First of all, listen to our show every week.
Right.
Then go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org. Sign up for our free section. You'll get the weekly newsletter. You'll get the clearings. A picture of the processor is right there in the newsletter.
Correct.
And you'll know what we're going to talk about the following week. It's really, we've made it really simple for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's all free. And so
join us. Come join us.
Have that authentic part for yourself.
And get a clearing buddy for yourself. It's an amazing thing to do.
Our Facebook page is theecosystemapproach.org. Go there. Our videos are there, and like us if you would.
Exactly. We'll connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Transformation Talk Radio, and you're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.